This is the army of the future, dehumanized, controlled, marching in lockstep toward their fate. Wake up before it's too late.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it as always. Thank you. Let's get the 5x5s out of the way. Trapper Bob, first and last, thank you to 5x5. Maryland, Tom Tom, The Watch, Sarita, thank you to 5x5. Base, Gregorgio, Gimbley, Occurs, Ozark Prepper, Lori, Flown Grown, Evolving Media, Sway, American, thank you to 5x5. Colt, Busy, Water, Toto, Dobie, Rena, thank you for the 5x5. Kathy, Salty, She Prepper, Carly, thank you for the 5x5. Raccoon Eyes, ULS, thank you for the 5x5. Joseph, Renee, Patch, Mitch, thank you for the 5x5. Bad Botter, Jeep Dog, Jay, Mississippi, thank you for the 5x5. And Mississippi, what's going on? Mr. Junior Nelson, thank you for the 5x5. Lori, AZ, Watch Woman, Snap Crackle and Pop, thank you for 5x5. Mississippi Gulf, Misty, Stacy, David, Wide Wake, GMA, thank you for 5x5. Fever, Nasara, Let's Go, Third Eye, The Watchman, Elsa, the Virginia Bushcrafter, Snap Crackle Smile, Pop Smile, excuse me, thank you for 5x5. Miss Nancy, Love Pug, Jenny, Jenga, whatever, thank you for the 5x5. Jerry, Jason, Red Dog, Eric, Francine, thank you for the 5x5. Live Free or Die, thank you for the 5x5. Damn, there's a lot of people here today. All right, Carrie, Cream, thank you for 5x5. Ambition, Nightcrawler, Hike, thank you for 5x5. Emmy, thank you for 5x5. All right, I think we're good. Yeah, I didn't like that AI thumbnail. It was weird. They looked like they were like marching gaily. It was just the gayest march you could possibly think of. It's pretty bad. I'm wondering if I can control that, like, give it prompts to make it better. Anyway. All right, guys. So, Billy Bird, sorry to hear that. Yeah, really sorry to hear that. Lovely Lace, 5x5 means loud and clear. Appreciate it. Oh, Gregorgio, thank you for, appreciate that. All right, Sage and Dan Phillips, thank you for the 5x5. All right. KS, One Big Dad. 2-3 more years, I'm out of New York State, let alone New York City, right? So I have a couple more years, and then I can go. Right? So when I retired the first time, and I took that hiatus from work, apparently when I came back to work, I have to do 5 years, and to cover the time that I was gone, if that makes sense, right? So because I came back, I'm missing, I think, 18 months. And I have to make up that 18 months, which is roughly 2 years, but it has to be the best out of like my last 3. So they want me to do 5 so I can get a better consensus of that. From that, if that makes sense. It's pension shit. Listen, I barely understand my pension shit. I sit there and I look like, I look like a lost dog, just sitting there going, what's going on? Like the pension shit's out of control. So, all that, guys, to say another 2 to 3 more years. Hopefully not 4. But that's what I'm hoping it's going to be around there. And then I can leave, and I'm looking at Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, right? That sounds like a communist plot. Probably. Are you in the drop? Busy. What do you mean the drop? The VSF? Is that what you're talking about? But yeah, like all of this pension stuff, it's a lot. It is a lot. When you leave the job, there is more. There's a lot. There's a lot when you leave. When you come on, all the paperwork you thought you were signing to get on was a lot. When you leave, that was a lot. That I mean, the amount of paperwork, the notaries, it's a lot of shit, man. So, for those that have a city job, whether you're an EMT, firefighter, police officer, correction officer, when you leave, your pension exit, it's insane. You're just like, when is this shit gonna end? You know. Busy, yes. Well, busy. That's another conversation for another time. But when I retired, I got my VSF when I retired the first time, so I have to build it up again. Right, my deferred comp wasn't touched. I didn't touch that at all, so that's still intact, and that's still gaining money. I'm still putting into that. Do you have a drop program in New York? I think hike with Mike. I think that's what Busy's talking about. Miss Nancy. Well, yeah, I'll be in the area. So, guys, of course, I want to get this out of the way. I'm going to be talking about it more in depth on the Angry Truths channel. But apparently, there are people that are announcing their unsubscription from me because of my stance with this shooting. And I guess with all of the back and forth, what people are not taking away, what my concern is that this man was shot unarmed. People are still believing the narrative that he was waving his firearm in the air. People are still believing the narrative that he approached these guys, and now they came up with some nonsense that he was fighting with the Border Patrol ICE agents a week prior to that. Anyway, and I don't believe any of that. You fight with a federal agent and you assault a federal agent, you go to jail. It is not like local law enforcement kind of shit. You don't get out the next day. So I don't know how true that is, but nonetheless, people are unsubscribing from the channel because they seem to think that my stance is that I want to protect the illegal immigrants. I don't know where that came from, but there are a lot of people that think so. So, again, Nasara, it doesn't matter whether he was Antifa or not. That does not matter. Executing a guy who was on, if he had that weapon in his hand and he was on the ground, absolutely light him up. But he was unarmed. That's the problem. And the problem with the small brain people is that they go, well, he was armed. No, he wasn't. He was waving a gun in the air. No, he wasn't. He was interfering with ICE agent operations. No, he wasn't. The guy was already apprehended. There was no more interfering of any operation. So again, all of the lies have been dispelled, right? And people don't see what's coming. This is a big problem. But again, I'm going to get into it solely on the Angry Truth channel. Now, with that being said, listen, guys, all of the shit that's going on, just there's a lot of bad shit going on. A lot. I've never seen so many people in a 1 week time pass away suddenly. I mean, people are passing away from cancer like that, man. Like they're just dropping like flies. And there's a lot going on. So, with that being said, our financial problems are going to get a whole hell of a lot worse. The whole market of beast, the whole monitoring everything you buy, making sure that every dollar you spend, they're tracking everything. And this all funnels into the whole market of beast system. And a lot of people are not seeing that. Sorsha, exactly. Like the whole brown shirt shit, and people don't see it. People don't see it, and people think that shooting was a righteous shoot. It wasn't even fought. And now I'm hearing you got other YouTubers that are sitting there talking about it was a righteous shoot. The guy was unarmed. If you think that was a righteous shoot, guys, and these guys are not held accountable, it only gets worse from there because their attitude now, ICE that is, and Border Patrol, their attitude is now they could do whatever they want because they're writing their own tickets. That is the big problem, and that's why I'm annoyed and pissed at people because they don't see it. Here, I'll talk about it later. I'm sorry. I'll talk about it later because it's again, I'm going to go on a rant and I'm going to focus on this. But we will definitely revisit that in 49 minutes, right? Anyway, guys, so Mark of the Beast. The Mark of the Beast is a symbol mentioned in the book of Revelation, specifically in Revelations 13, 16 through 17, which indicates a mark that people must have to buy or sell associated with the worship of the beast, the devil. This mark is often interpreted as a sign of allegiance to the Antichrist and is linked to the number 666. Now, the number 666 the number 666 hasn't, there's a lot of a lot of people get it wrong. I swear. I get my balls broken like at the wrong time, but whatever. It is cute, but nonetheless, it's always when I can't respond. So anyway, first and last, thank you for bringing that up. And first and last, if you can bring that up again later, that would be greatly appreciated. But yes, that's exactly my point. The small brain people are not figuring out what's going on. The small brain people that think this was a righteous shoot do not understand what's going on. I just found out that another YouTuber I know thought that this was a righteous shoot. I'm not going to start calling out other YouTubers, but I certainly will in the near future. But right now, I'm trying to be diplomatic because I'm trying to let people know that this is a bad path we are on. I can't be the only fucking one that sees this. I really can't. You know? So my bone to pick with these guys is that they're stupid. They're stupid for thinking this is a righteous shoot. But again, that's a discussion for a different day. So if you guys can keep this energy on the Angry Truth channel later tonight, I greatly appreciate it, man. Because I definitely want to get into this, where we're going. It's bad. It's bad, and like I said, the tiny brains, and the tiny hats like the tiny brains. Just keep that in the back of your head. They know we're stupid. But anyway, so guys, the mark of the beast is a significant concept found in the book of Revelation, specifically in Revelations 13, 16 to 18. I hate when you look it up, they give you two different chapters, or they extend the chapter, or they get the numbers wrong, whatever. It's associated with the beast that arises from the sea, often interpreted as a symbol of oppressive power, commonly linked to the Roman Empire. The meaning and the purpose. The mark is imposed on individuals, allowing them to buy and sell goods. Now, this is where, if you're not, listen, I don't care if you're religious or not. The fact that the Bible that was written eons ago is pointing out the things that we're headed towards, and people are not seeing it. Again, small brain. You don't have to believe in God, though it would be nice, but you don't have to believe in him to read the Bible to see a lot of things that are unfolding. Now, in a couple of books, when they talk about the mark of the beast, some people refer to it as the 666. Other people are refer to it in the futuristic terms or way of the barcode on the back of their necks or somewhere in their bodies, right? That allows them to buy stuff by scanning their barcode, whatever that might be. Now, the back of the neck is stupid because imagine if you have to buy something. Now you have to you got to turn your head around. You got to take your barcode reader and, it's dumb. So the wrist, whether it's here or in there, or a chip in your hand, and some of the technology, the microscopic chip technology that's out there, it's almost at a cellular size that they're trying to get to. Eyes open, yes, 85 seconds. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too. Thank you for jumping the gun, but I appreciate you bringing that up as well. So a lot of that technology, guys, is being created. And they're going to sit there and tell us that putting a chip in our arm, right, whatever that might be, or in some research or things they're trying to create, they want to use liquid. The hell was it again? It was like a liquid compound, so that it's a liquid compound, like nanotechnology. Thank you, Love Pugs. Nanobots, nanotechnology, but it's a liquid compound that irradiates through your whole body. Spreads through your whole body. So whenever you like walk in a store or out of a store, it can like charge you. It reads who you are, the whole 9 yards. Minority Report, the whole eye scan, that they could do that as well. Scan your eyes through AI video cameras, and it knows who you are, and it tries to pitch you or sells you some shit in the store or get you in trouble when you do something stupid. Hence is why Tom Cruise took his eyes out. Grateful Prep and Jake, do me a favor, save that energy for the Angry Truth channel if you're still up. I know a lot of you old people can't hang out past 10 o'clock. You people are like, I'm so old, I have to go to bed, rest my bones. I understand that. So if that's the case, yeah. But again, Grateful Preps and Jay, bring up that same comment you made a little later. But yes, he was unarmed. They disarmed him. So that's what unarmed means. After you're disarmed, you're now unarmed and you don't have a weapon. If I have to, hold your hand like a retarded child and walk you to school, I will. But we'll talk about that on the Angry Truth channel. So anyway, guys, all of this stuff is being created and worked on as we speak. This is not science fiction anymore. This is truth. This is fact. This is actually happening. It's happening in real time. There's a nerd somewhere eating a hot pocket trying to create some kind of new liquid, nanotech stuff. They even have skin or skin dermal, like a dermal chip that goes over your skin. Some of it that they're working on actually, how do you say, absorbs into your skin so that it's right underneath your skin so that you could scan and do all the other shit you need to do. And supposedly this dermal stuff that absorbs in the skin, you could put it where you want, right? So you can put it in your hand, you can put it in your wrist. There's a lot of interesting shit being created and thought of and worked on. I have to admit, a lot of that stuff is very creative. But nonetheless, guys, it is still going in the direction of what the Bible was telling people or us eons ago. All right, so the market beast imposes an individual allowing them to buy or sell goods. It is described as being placed on the right hand or the forehead, and again, some places in the back of the neck. The forehead that's a bit much. I don't want anything on my forehead. That's just, you look stupid with a fucking whatever on your forehead. Buy me or sell me, whatever the hell they're going to put on your forehead. Anyway, and again, it's not going to be visible, right? It's not like in the books, it's a visible mark, but in reality, it won't be a visible mark. Those without the mark will face severe consequences. Now, Bill Gates said something in a roundabout way about a year or two ago about that we would need to join the society or the new society if we want to get ahead or continue to live. For the most part, is what he said. It was a roundabout way. It wasn't his exact words. So those without the mark will face severe consequences, including exclusion from the economic activities. Right? Again, this stuff was written eons ago, and we're seeing people like Bill Gates mention shit like this. Right? A number associated with the beast is 666, which is often interpreted as a symbol of imperfection, falling short of the divine completeness. Some ancient manuscripts, like papyrus, papyrus, 115 suggests alternative number 616 instead of 666. Now, I have a bone to pick with a movie. We're going to talk about End of Days with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the movie was a dumb movie. It was just stupid. It was an incredibly stupid movie. But when that scene when the priest was talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger and he was like, "Yes, you know that the year 1999 is really the year 666." I'm like, and so the one automatically fell off when he turned 1999 upside down. I think some of you remember that scene. The dumbest thing in the world. I can't understand how he's like he writes 1999 and shows Arnold Schwarzenegger, flips it up, and then even as a kid, when I saw it, I go, but what about the one? It's still 6661. You know, it was just dumb. It was just my bone to pick. I couldn't stand that scene. I mean, the movie, had its action scenes, and Arnold Schwarzenegger being who he is, I'd watch almost any action movie he was in. But that was just a dumb scene, one of the dumbest scenes I've ever seen. Anyway, so the historical context. The mark is believed to reflect the pressures faced by early Christians on the Roman rules. It symbolizes alliances to the beast, which is often identified with the Antichrist or oppressive regimes. Now, oppressive regimes. These are the people. Judge Dredd. They're coming out with a new movie, Judge Dredd, by the way. I'm kind of interested to see where that goes. But in that movie, those people lived in an apocalyptic building, Mega One. And Mega One was a giant size, what was it, 20 square block building that was, I don't know, 100 and something floors or 200 and something floors up. So, and they called it a mega city. And that's the kind of shit that they want us to live in. And so this oppressive regime wants to keep having us join and stay in their society by keeping us in buildings, if you will, or states or cities like that. Smart cities, right? Those are the cities that we have to be careful of because that's the control that they want, and that becomes oppressive. Because of course, initially, guys, they're going to sell you this city as the place to be. It's safe. You don't have to worry about getting hacked into. You can spend your money. There's going to be food, water, and all this other bullshit. And then they start implementing their rules, and then the rules get tougher. Then the rules get tighter, sort of like what's going on now with the whole, hey man, we shot this dude. We think you guys shouldn't be showing up with guns to the rally. Then they're going to be like, that, you know what? Maybe you guys shouldn't be carrying your guns to the mall. Then they're going to be like, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't go out in the street with your firearm. You can still own it, but you can't go out in the street now. And the idiots don't understand what's going on with this shooting as your gun rights and where you can carry will start to shrink. But the tiny brains don't understand that tactic, if you will. They're just going along with it because they're retarded. Anyway, so, guys, the mark is enforced by a second beast known as the false prophet who acts on behalf of the first beast. In fact, the false prophet will have a lot of people jump on board, follow his every single word. Whatever the false prophet says to do, these people will do. These people will absolutely look at the false prophet as he could do no wrong. You know who are else looking at people, looking at a man that could do no wrong? The morons that continue to follow Trump. These people seem to think he could do no wrong. They think this man walks on water. This guy makes stupid statement, talks like a moron, and people are like, he's saving our country from fucking what? He's putting us in a bind, and that bind is going to hurt. And people are too stupid and slow and retarded and drool when they speak because they don't understand what is actually going on. But, like I said, that's a different story for a different time. This false prophet uses religious authority to compel worship of the first beast, furthering solidifying the mark's significance to a socio-political landscape of the time. Understanding the mark of the beast involves recognizing its role as a symbol of loyalty and the dire consequences of rejecting it during the tribulations described in Revelations. So, again, guys, I read that first part to talk about this. T-Man talks like a robot. And when people write that, I start talking like a robot too. I'm like, why did I do that? You know, like why did I sound like fucking, you know, R2, not R2D2, C3PO. All right, so all of that to say, guys. Now this is where things get a little more interesting. Give me a second to find it. So, Mark of the Beast, guys, and what it's seemingly going to represent. I can't sit here and say that it is going to represent. It's seemingly going to represent our financial jail. And it's going to constrict us. It's going to put a lot of constraints on us, excuse me, as they are passing laws right now to, and we were talking about this in the firehouse today. We were talking about cryptocurrency. And I was talking about how if you're going to get in cryptocurrency now and try to make some money, do it. But the laws that they're trying to make, they're trying to box out other cryptocurrencies so that you can only use the U.S. cryptocurrency. I forgot what they're calling it now. It went through like a couple of name changes, and I think it's under a new name now. But everybody's trying to develop their own cryptocurrency. Mr. B supposedly might be coming up with his own cryptocurrency. I think Trump had one. Melania had a cryptocurrency. I'm pretty sure, you know, Biden administration was thinking about coming out with Biden, but, you know, whatever, too stupid to figure that one out. So there's something called the Genius Act. I just learned about this today. But when I read it, I was like, pretty red flaggy. The Genius Act, also known as the Guiding and Establishing National Intervention for U.S. Stablecoin Act. So it's stablecoin. That's what it's called. Thank you, Sorsha, stablecoin. Is a landmark USA legislation from 2025 that creates a federal framework for regulating payment stablecoin requiring one-to-one reverse backing, strict AML and CFT compliance, Banking Secrecy Act, and a clear disclosure for issuers like banks and qualified non-banks, aiming to boost customer confidence, preventing illicit use, which is bullshit, and I'll get back to that in a second, and stabilize the digital dollar market by setting federal standards for the Reserve, the U.S. Reserve, and issuer conduct. So this Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act was for them to start using the stablecoin or cryptocurrency through the Federal Reserve, right? So now that, Tammy, thank you for the donation. Now that they want to start using cryptocurrency, they had to come out with these new laws, acts, and policies. There are going to be more policies and more bills coming out over the next couple of years. Stablecoin are still a form of CBDC. Yes, Brian, they are. You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. It is a form of CBDC, which again, guys, goes right back to the mark of the beast. The way you're going to be spending that currency, the way you're going to be spending that money, that's going to be, again, fictitious. This shit isn't real, right? So silver, gold, ammo, thank you, Flown Grown. Silver, gold, ammo, and things that are tangible, things you can put your hand on. You can't put your hand on this shit. They're going to tell you, like that, this money appeared in your account. There is no backing of this money, but they're coming out with act and policies to make sure that they can convince you that this shit is real, but it's not. It's all made up, man. It's all made up. Brian prophecies to the level of Jason. All right, I guess so. So they're preventing illicit use. You're going to see that term used a lot. You're going to see that term used probably for the next, however long you live, and every new policy or every time they come out with a new coin. Now, stablecoin is supposedly is the U.S. cryptocurrency coin. I'm not sure if you can buy into it yet. I think you can, but I'm not like 100% sure. The preventing illicit use, guys, is bullshit. Hackers, I promise you, hackers will figure out a way how to break into this system, if you will, into this digital dollar market. Now, again, they want this to stabilize the digital dollar market. Again, by setting federal standards for the reserves. It's all bullshit, man. It's all bullshit. It's just another way for them to convince idiots to believe that this fictitious coin that does not exist, that has no value, they're going to put a value on it. Imagine that's like me telling you that these index cards are worth $100. Why? Because I said so. But what they're going to try to do is they're going to sell you fluff with that coin by telling you how it works in the system. Well, first of all, when the wind shifts in Africa and it shifts north, that's telling us that hurricane season is going to pick up. So we know that the stable coin is going to be worth some money because after America is damaged, they're going to come up with some flub bullshit like that, right? And they're going to confuse the shit out of you so you should just give up trying to understand why there's value in something that does not exist, right? And they were doing that before. I've had debates about cryptocurrency, and people now see what I was talking about. Because I told the guy in the firehouse 10 years ago, 15 years ago now, about cryptocurrency. And I said, it's bullshit. It's made out of thin air. And they're like, but it's for people like you and I to buy it, man, because it's going to free us from this economic woe that we're in. And what happened? The elites looked at cryptocurrency, saw its value, and they bought into it. So now they priced all of us out of it when it was supposed to be for the people. But it wasn't for the people, right? They screwed us right in the ass. They were like, ba-boom, and now we can't fucking buy it because they put so much money into it. They're keeping it out of reach of us. They did that shit on purpose. Everybody think that they were doing it because they were trying to get in on it too. No, they were flooding it. They were flooding it with cash, cryptocurrency that is, flooding it with cash so that they can keep it out of reach of the normal person. It was a fucking move and it worked, and nobody was smart enough to see that. So anyway, guys, the Genius Act permitted issuers limited issuance to banks, federal qualified non-banks, OCC regulated, and state qualified non-banks regulated by the state with caps. I guess capital, I mean. A lot of banks are vying for this stable coin, but I think your bigger banks like Chase and maybe Citibank, possibly Capital One, are going to be positioning themselves so that they can use and trade, I guess, stablecoin, right? Ed Lee, this all ties into the digital ID. Again, thank you for bringing that up. This all ties into the digital ID, right? So keep that in mind, guys. Your digital ID is going to go hand in hand with the mark of the beast, which is going to go hand in hand with this financial nonsense that is going to start crushing your freedom. A lot of people, again, do not know or don't understand how bad this is going to get. And they are laying this roadmap out for us to look at. They're not even hiding it anymore, man. They're it's OCC regulated, not ODC, because that would be a disease, right? Or a psychological issue. But sorry. Every now and again some shit pops on my screen and I'm like, what? What does that say? Let's see OCC regulated means. Uh, OCC is Office of Comptroller of the Currency. Sounds very important. The Office of Comptroller of the Currency is an independent bureau within the United States Department of Treasury that was established by the National Currency Act of 1863 and served as served to charter, regulate, and supervise all national banks and federal thrift institutions, and the federally licensed branches and agencies of foreign banks in the United States. The head of it right now is Jonathan V. Somebody's asshole. I refuse to click on it to see the rest of his name, but nonetheless, and it was formed February 25th, 1863. Somebody sprayed the Somalian chick, the politician, Ilian, whatever her name is. Someone sprayed her with some unknown substance. They keep saying unknown substance. I bet you it was like water or like olive oil or some shit like that. They said unknown substance, so we could all be nervous because what if she dies? I'd have been like, okay. Anyway, um, you know, listen, when it comes to politicians passing away, I have no what you call it for them. No love. I do not give a shit. Any politician that passes away here on out, I don't care. If Trump caught a bullet tomorrow, don't give a shit. You know, if Biden died of a heart attack, don't care. Kamala Harris got drunk and died in a car crash, don't give a shit. These people are our enemies, and we continue to sit there and put them on our shoulders and carry them around the stadium like Rudy, the last scene in the movie Rudy. Fuck them. You know, bacon water. That's a good one. Fred Stallone, thank you for the donation, man. Appreciate it. So I listen. I don't care when a politician it doesn't matter. These people outwardly and in our face protect the PDO child diddlers, right? I mean, all of them do. None of these people are pushing. It's why Marjorie Taylor Greene dropped out of like the whole political thing, because she saw where this was going and it was going nowhere. So with that, yeah, man, politician, politician disappear. Oh well. Yeah, it's no love lost, man. Like and the thing is, it's like if AOC passed away tomorrow because she was dancing on a bar and tripped and fell, and people be like, oh, she was such a great person. Fuck you. You do not become a good person after you die. If you were a bag of shit, you're a bag of shit when you're dead. When you're laying in your coffin and shit, you're still a bag of shit. And and first of all, I wouldn't go to a bag of shit's funeral, but I'm not all of a sudden someone's going to die and be like, oh my God, he was a good dude. We didn't see eye to eye on things, but he had vision. Fuck his vision. Fuck that dude. Fuck whoever's laying in that coffin. A piece of shit is going to be a piece of shit till they're a piece of shit and die as a piece of shit. The whole fucking nonsense and the bullshit of that person all of a sudden became an angel when they died, get fucking bent. That is such bullshit. These people are the worst. Every time a politician dies, they were such a great leader, and then they put that slow hero music in the background, and somehow they get every politician who dies, they get them to have a picture like this. What is that? What is that? And so anyway, we sit there, and you got idiots that are crying and sobbing, and oh my God, they were so great. Fuck them, right in the ass, because these people are our enemy. As long as they continue to protect the diddlers, as long as they continue to give money to the tiny hats on the other side of the world, as long as they continue to tax us out the ass, they're the enemy of the people. They are not good people. If Trump passed away tomorrow, I would be like, whatever. But there would be people crying and going, he was such a great speaker. His fucking hair was awesome and he wore nice suits. Fuck him too. Fuck Kamala Harris. Right? She died in a car crash. They'd be like, she was the best female almost president ever. Fuck her in the ass. Anyway, my point, guys, is that these people don't become good all of a sudden when they pass away. Everybody's just like, they're so great. No, they're not. They're cocksuckers of the world. But yet we sit here and we pretend that they were good people. They never were. Anyway, so reserve requirements, or Federal Reserve requirement, mandates 100% backing with U.S. currency, highly liquid assets like U.S. treasuries, and requires monthly public disclosure of reserves. That's interesting. Consumer protection prohibits misleading claims of government backing, full faith and credit, and protects stablecoin holders in bankruptcy. I'd like to dive more into that. Pompous ass. Yeah, sorry. So I got to look this up because I'm not sure what it is. Oh, no, there it is. All right. AML CFT compliance classifies issuers as financiers institutes, subjecting them to Bank Secrecy Act (BSA) rules for anti-money laundering (AML) and combating finances of terrorism (CFT). Combating financing of terrorism. Now I'm gonna tell you something right there. That's another bullshit one. They have you on their favorite list. Probably, Fred. Maybe. Who knows? Whatever. I'm probably gonna get a visit again for the third time. It'll be okay. I think I'll survive. Unless they do some crazy shit like flood my apartment with gas and happen to ignite it. There's always that, right? Anyway, so the combating financing of terrorism is bullshit because the whole point of this new like Genius Act and stablecoin is so that they can track your spending everywhere you spend and on what you spend, like everything. So everything you buy automatically gets logged, cataloged, and sent into a system that they can access at any time. Now, currently, as it stands, if you buy a computer or a laptop, something very expensive, they can find out if they look through your bank records. But now they have to look through your debit card records and go, oh, he was at Apple. Then they got to contact Apple, and Apple will tell them what you bought. But with this system, they could just look and see exactly what you bought, right? So if you bought a firearm, for example, they know exactly what you bought, the model you bought, where you bought it, what time you bought it, and what you bought it with. Did you buy it with more ammo? Did you buy a new stock to go along with it? So that's the kind of shit that you do not want. This is the kind of shit that cannot pass. Because this is like beyond sticking their nose in your privacy. Grateful Prep NJ said, I would be very sad to lose Trump. Yeah, because you're retarded. I don't know what to tell you. I can't imagine, guys, how people like I guess JFK, first of all, our parents of the time when JFK passed, a lot of them were young. But I remember my mother, everybody was crying when he got shot. I guess it was JFK, but JFK was also off because he took a stand against the tiny hats, and that was it. Boom, they got him. And so everybody's crying. But everybody didn't know that it was the tiny hats that killed him. They just thought it was Lee Harvey Oswald because they believed the bullshit at the time. A lot of us are a lot smarter now, and we see through the bullshit, though sometimes we see too far through the bullshit, and it scares people, and then we become what? Conspiracy theorists. Then conspiracy theorists wind up being right down the road. So for a lot of shit that I might have said on here, other YouTubers or conspiracy theorists might have said, when the shit comes to truth, you guys are going to look back and go, those Negroes were right. They had it. And some of us were wrong. Right? They keep track of your porn choice. I'm pretty sure they keep track of your porn choice now. So, that would, because anything you type, they're like, oh, he likes, big fat ladies that rub cake on their belly. They're like, they know that you like that shit. So that they can do now. But as far as purchasing, like if I went to Apple and I bought all this shit with cash, they would still know what I bought but they would have to go the extra steps to find out. With this system, they don't have to go the extra step. They type in Angryprepper and they look and see exactly what I bought. Right? So again, this is something you don't want. And the whole combating financing of terrorism, terrorists will find another way. They're like water. They will always find a way. Right? But people keep believing the bullshit that this is not going to happen. All right. Let's see. Regulatory framework establishes a dual federal state system with roles for the OCC, Treasury, and state regulators, plus requirements for capital liquidity and risk management. Prohibition. Bar issuers from paying interest, tying insurance to other services, and misrepresenting insurance status, or misrepresenting insurance status. That one I don't quite get. It'll probably come to me a little later, but that one I don't get why that matters. All right, the purpose: to bring clarity and consistency to the begrudging stablecoin market, to safeguard consumers and financial system from risk like bank runs or illicit finances. Now, that was another thing I kept hearing with this whole stablecoin, that it would minimize risk of bank runs, because what they can do now, it just dawned on me what that really means. So safeguard customers and financial system from bank runs means that they can lock you out of your account. They can lock your money up. They can restrict how much you take out. So they'll sit there and go, these guys are about to make a bank run. Let's limit their withdrawal to $20 a day or $30 or $40 a day. This, guys, is complete and utter control of your money. That's all it is. right? They want to make sure they control everything you do, right? So that is one of the bigger problems. And to maintain the U.S. dollar's dominance in the digital economy, encouraging responsible innovation. They know I buy many condoms. They know everything, man. They know it all. So now, with the Genius Act, right, which is something I told you guys you should be concerned about, and at the very least following, something is they're pairing it with another act called the Clarity Act. Now, the Clarity Act is a proposed piece of legislation aimed at establishing a regulatory framework for digital assets in the U.S. It seeks to provide clear rules and issuance and regulations of cryptocurrencies, enhancing customer protection, bullshit, fostering innovation into the crypto industry. More bullshit. All right. So, again, guys, they're setting up the mark of the beast in a way that makes it look legal and professional. That's all they're doing. Right? So now, initially, guys, when you were a kid and you heard mark of the beast, you thought it was just that. You thought you were going to get some mark that allows you to be, that allows you to sell, excuse me, and allows you to buy, and probably also allows you to be sold. Let's, I'm going to, I took it there. Let's put it like that, right? So, they are now, guys, making these new acts, these new policies. I tell you, there's going to be more of these coming out over the next few years. And all they're doing with this, guys, is that they're giving people a legal road to convince you that stablecoin is good, that this system that they're going to implement is good for you. And it's not. But they're going to sit there and come up with this writing. Meanwhile, there's an ulterior motive behind this, but we're not going to know that, right? Because they're going to read this, and the small brains are going to look at this and go, "Oh man, you see what it says? They said they want to safeguard our money and keep us safe." Okay, retard, I got a chocolate bar for you under a fucking pier, if you like that, because this is bullshit. This is the worst bullshit. All right, so the Clarity Act, formerly known as the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, aims to establish a regulatory framework for digital assets in the United States. It seeks to provide clear guidelines for issuance and regulation of cryptocurrency and digital commodities. I'm trying to find out what the other digital commodities are. I don't quite know what that is. If one of you nerds know, you can put it in the chat, but I am not sure what that means. Motherfucker. Sorry. All right. So the Clarity Act regulatory framework. The act would grant Commodity Future Trading Commission, or the FCTC, exclusive jurisdiction over digital commodity spot markets. It establishes a regulation regime for digital commodity exchange brokers and dealers. Consumer protection. The legislation aims to protect investors by creating enforceable rules against fraud and marketing manipulation. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. My gut feeling tells me that if you end up being fraudulent, if you try to fraud these people out of their money, if you try to steal it from them, they're going to throw the book at you. They're going to throw the book at you like you diddled a kid. That's the worst part about this. That if you sit here amongst these new acts between the Clarity Act and the Genius Act, and you sit there and you come up with a way how to make up fake cryptocurrencies or steal actual cryptocurrency from people, they're going to throw the book at you. They're going to put you under the jail. Look what they did to Bernie Madoff. Now, Bernie Madoff, again, after researching what he did exactly what the banks did, except he was a little more asshole-ish about it, and he did it frequently, and he wound up spending the money that he was holding, and people never got their payouts, right? When they hit certain things in the market, when they did good, and they knew they did good, they would contact him, and banks sort of do the same thing. If the banks go belly up tomorrow because of the next depression, you or I are not getting our money back. We're not. The bigger size of the money, if you will, or the bulk of that money is going to go to the investors. And the investors are going to get paid out first. And after they're paid out, then the peons get the leftover quarters, nickels, and dimes. That'd be us. So all of this, guys, is to protect the elites, the rich, and the famous, those that are pumping money into the system to do better. Now, the Clarity Act should be voted, I think, this Thursday. If it's passed, everything you own becomes trackable, programmable, and censorable. Now, programmable, check this out. The other day, I read an article about, oh, sorry, scratch that, liar. Programmable. They can see what's going on with your car, right? And they can see what's going on with your car. And I didn't know this. I had no clue, right? I didn't know that Chevy in Paramus, New Jersey knew how much oil was in my car. They called me up and they're like, hey, is this Mr. Charles? I'm like, yes. What do you want? They're like, we can see that your oil is at 10%. I'm like, first of all, it's at 20. Secondly, why are you spying on me? And they're like, we just do this to make sure that, you get the heads up and get the services you need before, something happens to your truck. And I'm like, wait, first of all, I can fucking read. It's 2025. I know what my gauge says. I'll be in next week to get an oil change. It's shit like that. But they tracking your car. Right now, as it stands, they can listen to certain cars because there's a listening device sanctioned by the CIA in certain cars. It was a project that was just outed a few months ago. Maybe it was a few years ago. I don't know. But nonetheless, the programmable part of everything you own is the bad part. Right? So just keep that in mind, guys. Your stock, your crypto, your gold, your silver, your oil, your goods, all of it will be traceable, trackable. They'll know how much of it you bought. Now, for those of you that bought silver and gold now, for those of you that bought silver and gold before the hammer dropped, you'll be all right. Your shit's untraceable. But for anybody after this shit gets established and they start operating on it or operating with it, they'll be tracking everybody's gold, everybody's silver. And then they're going to go, well, you know what, that Angryprepper dude, he has $400,000 in gold. Maybe we should head over there and get it from him. Or I mysteriously die in a car crash and all of a sudden the banks have my gold kind of shit, So the other thing they can do, I forgot to mention, they can control your car. The CIA, apparently. The CIA, because they're not allowed to operate on American soil, so they say, they can control your car. So your brakes can go out on you, your transmission could drop out, your car can just seize, it could just stop, it could freeze. The brakes can all of a sudden disengage, and now you're fucking going down the roadway screaming at the top of your lungs. So a lot of these things they can do. Have they done it? Probably. If there was a politician that died in a car accident within the last 2 or 3 years, I can guarantee you it was them that did it. Like I would bet my bottom dollar was them. Yes, right. If you get sick, the doctor will know, call you in, or the doctor will stop by your home. Patty, they have a kill switch in cars. So apparently, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was GM and Ford, or Ford and not GM, one of the two. They have a patent that has a kill switch in your car. In fact, they're working on a patent where they can, if you owe payments on your car, they could repossess your car when you go to sleep at night. So you go to sleep at night, you're dreaming of fucking, driving your car, right? Because you're going to get up the next morning, you're going to drive that car. But then you get out and your car's gone. And then you find out, oh man, they stole my car. You go to the police station. The police station is like, all right, we'll look into it. Police station calls you back 2 hours later, tells you, hey, your car wasn't stolen. It was driven back to the dealership. It was being repossessed. With that, you go, well, how did they repossess my car? Well, they did the self auto or return auto thing. Sarita, thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. They did the self auto thing and it drove itself back. And they have that technology. They're working on that technology. Excuse me. Gregorio, thank you for the 5-minute heads up. 5-minute warning. Excuse me. Thank you. Appreciate it. So again, guys, all of this shit you can look up yourself. I'm not making any of this shit up. It's interesting. Oh, to say the least, it's interesting. Anyway, let's see. Let's talk about let's jump from the framework. I think we talked about that. Did we talk about the framework? Consumer protection. Consumer protection. Legislation aimed to protect investors by creating enforceable. We said that. The act will grant Commodity Future Trade Commission exclusive jurisdiction over digital commodities spot markets. But here's the thing: controversies and challenges. Recent discussions have highlighted concerns about potential restriction of tokenized equities and decentralized finances activities. The Senate Banking Committee has postponed actions on the bill, indicating ongoing negotiations and revisions. The lawmakers are working to finalize the Clarity Act and related legislations by the end of the first quarter of 2026. Although this timeline may shift due to the complexity of the legislative process. In other words, guys, they're working overtime right now to screw us in the ass with Spike Dildo. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Because this, guys, is all part of the mark of the beast. This is what the mark of the beast looks like. Now, again, in the movies, in books, when you talk to friends, the mark of the beast is like the sexy thing you get on their arm and they control you. And if if you're out of line because of the whole social credit scoring system, they integrate that into this with your digital ID. So now you start acting a fool, they take money away from you, right? If you start acting a fool again, they restrict your movements in the city you live in. You start acting like a fool again, now they restrict you from doing anything fun. You can only eat and live in your home. China, in fact, this is making a lot of people homeless because a lot of people are doing things China doesn't like, and it's locking their version of a PayPal account is locking them out of that, and then they can't pay their rent, they can't buy anything to eat, and they're sleeping on the street. Currently, as it is, that's what's happening. Um, but anyway, all I have to say, guys, is that this is what the mark of the beast looked like. It's not that sexy shit in the movie, with Arnold Schwarzenegger chasing the devil around New York City and stabbing him in the face. No horn things coming after us. This is what it looks like. It looks like legislation, bills, acts, and promises from politicians. That's all this is, right? Again, if it looked as sexy as it did in the movies, it would be more interesting. This shit is boring. But nonetheless, that's what boring does, right? Boring makes you look the other way. You look at this, you go, oh man, this is stupid. This doesn't make sense. This is not sexy. We're not chasing anything, This is how they control you. Not the other way. Not, again, how we thought they would. They control you by these actions. They send these bills. They tell you, you can't use the dollar here. You got to use stablecoin. Now you got to sign up for stablecoin. And then now stablecoins are part of your whole life. So anytime you do something wrong, they can drop the hammer, which they have been doing. So, again, guys, all of this is just speculation, right? This is the pattern that I'm seeing. Not saying that I'm right, not saying that I'm wrong. It's just a pattern I'm seeing. It's the direction we're going in, and this direction looks like shitballs. Jonathan Smith, clickbait title. Clickbaity titles, but then you got to watch the video and understand what I'm trying to say. But it's actually not clickbaity because if this act, the Clarity Act, goes through and they start making us use stablecoin over the US dollar, we are toast, right? So that actually it's not clickbaity title. But I'm glad you could read at the 6th grade reading level. That's pretty good. But man, I just got tired. I got hit with the Tide bomb. I am fucking exhausted right now. Holy shit. I am really tired. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. That happens when you're old. It hits you like a ton of bricks. And I still, after the Angry Truth, gotta cook and edit a video. Ugh, gross. I just want to go to sleep. You know what happens when you get older too now? Like, I go to a fire, it takes me a couple days to recover. I just want to lay down. So the Angry Truth channel, guys, it's going to be a little bit of a rant, not too long. It's going to be, quite short because I got to get back to it and do other shit, edit some videos, and then take my old bones to sleep. Geritol time. Exactly, Nostradamus. Yeah, listen, I tell you. But yeah, it's this firefighting is a young man's game, definitely is. You get tired. not get tired, but it takes you longer to recover now. You know, especially if you were operating in CO or operating the entire time. Yeah, man. Live free or die. I'm gonna probably get on the assault bike to snap out of it a little bit because I got to get shit done. I have to get this stuff done. So I would say about like 10:20, I'm off the air. 10:21, I'm editing videos, cooking, getting everything done at once. You could have been a drummer in another life. Why did you say that? That's a new one. Never heard that one before. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining me as per usual. I appreciate it. I will see you guys later this week for the double header on Thursday. I will have a Wednesday midweek report. That's going to be fairly early. Not fairly, but it's going to be at 7 o'clock. And I will see you guys tomorrow, man. Other than I see some of you guys on the Angry Truth channel. Excuse me. I will see some of you guys on Angry Truth. I'll see the rest of you for the double header next Thursday. This Thursday. Excuse me. See you guys later.